Good evening and welcome to our ordinary council meeting for tonight, the 26th of February 2024 here at the Kalgoorlie Town Hall. Council would like to respect and acknowledge all of the traditional custodians on the land in which we meet and show our respect to elders past and present, opening the meeting tonight at 7 p.m. For those who are in the chamber tonight, may I please get you to stand as Father Brennan from the Catholic Church delivers a prayer for us this evening. Father Brennan.
Yes. God of peace, we pray for that peace that is found only in you, and for your blessing on us this day and for the work that is before us. You who are rich in mercy, bend your ear and hear the prayers of your people. Draw near to us as we lay before you our greatest concerns, our innermost thoughts, and the whole of our hopes and fears. We commend into your hands the efforts and all we hope to accomplish in this meeting, and so may we approach the start of this meeting and its business with earnest and sincere hearts. We pray for the members of this council who have been given the privilege and the responsibility of conducting the business of the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder and its people, None of this is achievable by one person by themselves, but working together and guarded by your loving hand. That and even more can be achieved as faithful stewards. And so send upon them your own wisdom and grant them prudence and charity in abundance, that the business of this day may be conducted as harmoniously as possible for the good of all. Be with them this day and every day that they serve here. Give them the wisdom of Solomon, the patience of Job, the compassion of the Good Samaritan, so that at the end of this day and every day they may have the assurance that they have served our fair city well to the best of their abilities. In your gracious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Please be seated. I'll now read the disclaimer to those who are present this evening, and please note this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on the Council's website in accordance with the City's public participation in Council meeting policy, which can be viewed on Council's website. All reasonable care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded, and by remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given if your image is broadcast. The recommendations contained in this agenda are officers' recommendations only and should not be acted upon until Council has resolved to adopt those recommendations. The resolutions of Council should be confirmed by perusing the minutes of the Council meeting at which these recommendations were considered. Members of the public should also note that they act at their own risk if they enact any resolution prior to receiving official written notification of Council's decision. Our record of attendance for this evening. Good evening, Deputy Mayor. Good evening, Councillor Bodica. Hello to Councillor Winner. Councillor Johnson joins us tonight. Councillor O'Donnell over there. Councillor Brownlee is here this evening and Councillor Turner is with us as well. At this point, we do have an apology from Councillor Viskovich. However, we do have a leave of absence, which is an opportunity to accept that shortly. Welcome to our Director of Development and Growth tonight, who's sitting in the CEO chair, Alex Weiss. Thank you, Alex. Our Director of Community Development, Mia Hicks. Our Director of Corporate and Commercial, Glenda Abraham. And our Director of Engineer, Louis Camparelli. And also joining us as well at the big table is the Acting Executive Manager of Finance, Casey Radford. Joined tonight by staff, Executive Manager, Governance and Risk Services, Francis Liston, Governance Officer, Jamie Boyes, Governance Officer, Evelyn Addison, and IT Systems Administrator, Rajan Prajapati. There are no apologies this evening, noting that we do have the CEO, who is an apology though as a member of staff, and as pointed out, we do have a leave of absence previously approved with Councillor Viskovich, but we'll be accepting that this evening. Item 5, response to previous questions taken on notice. There are nil tonight. Public access. We have one public access this evening from Trent Mays, resident of Lamington, presenting on behalf of the North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club. Trent, if you'd like to come forward to the podium, please. Just get you to turn the microphone on and, yep, just catch him, mate. Good that you're a cricketer. Excellent, thank you and welcome along. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson. My name is Trent Mays. I'm the chair of the Clubhouse Subcommittee for the North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club, and I'm here today to discuss the club's request for a 21-year lease on Reserve 1126 at Wallace Park to build a new clubhouse. The North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club was established in 1948, originally based at Shepparton Oval. Wallace Park has been our home since 1998. At Wallace Park, we currently hold a lease over our training netting complex, current facility, change room facilities, and a small kitchenette. The current lease is a 12-year lease with the option to extend another 9 years. The extended lease expires on the 30th of April 2038. The club has been working on a proposed development for over a decade, which has included multiple construction plans, grant applications, fundraising, and sponsorship assistance. The club's request for a new lease would include exercising out the existing change rooms and kitchenette facility to provide opportunities for winter sports to utilise, and we would request to hire the facilities on a seasonal basis, based on the city's schedule of fees and charges. Discussions with city staff indicate that this would provide increased usage for the facility to other users, and we have spoken to members of the Celtic Soccer Club who are interested in hiring the change room facilities in the winter. As a club, we believe a 21-year lease for a 76-year-old club is a reasonable request to council. I myself am a third-generation committee member, captain and coach of the club, and believe this new development will only strengthen our club and cricket in Kalgoorlie as a whole for many years into the future. As for the development itself, we have secured plans, certificate of design compliant, approved by the city's engineering department, and are only awaiting approval for this requested new lease for a building permit to be granted. We are proud to have obtained close to 50% of the required funding through years of fundraising and have secured several local sponsors to see the project finished. The construction will be managed by an experienced local builder who will manage the project through the construction management plan. Under the proposed new lease, we would understand that the club would be responsible for all upkeep, repairs and possible vandalism and security to the new structure. It is not the club's intention to ever hand back this facility to the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, and to demonstrate this, the club has requested an option to renew the lease after 21 years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm happy to field any questions.
Thank you, Trent. Your item is a little further down in this evening's agenda. However, if I can get a motion from councillors to deal with that item now, that can let you go home and watch the end of Home and Away if you like. Councillor Bodica moved that we bring that item forward. Councillor Winner second. Any discussion, councillors? No dissent. Carried. Now we do have two items of an item of impartiality and a disclosure of financial interest for this to note as well. Councillor Turner has given us a disclosure of interest affecting impartiality, as Councillor Turner has family members and players of life members of North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club. So we note that. Councillor Turner, thank you. You can stay in the room. From our Director, Mia Hicks, for item 1531 this evening, that is a financial risk, a financial interest. The chair of North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club is part of the building the working group with the husband's business partner, and the business is contributing in kind to the project. So Director Hicks, if I wouldn't mind, get you to please leave the room while we consider this particular item and we bring this forward in the minutes as well, noting that at 7:08. Councillors, 1532 as presented, North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club bringing that forward in this evening's discussion. Do I have a mover for the officer recommendation? Councillor Winner. Seconded, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Winner, any discussion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be brief on it. I just wanted to commend the North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club on getting themselves to a position where they can actually go ahead with a project of this size. It's absolutely fantastic when community groups do this and do work behind the scenes with their partners and their sponsors to be able to come up with these fantastic projects. And we've seen it happen with football a fair bit, so it's great to see a club like these guys putting it together, and I really hope that all councillors support this. I think the 21-year lease is very fair, and I like the option to renew after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Councillor Brownlee, do you have any concerns? No, you're all good. Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
If I may, just a point of information.
Point of clarification first.
A point of clarification.
Sure.
I've got to sit down for these now, don't I?
Oh, no, you still got to stand up. We haven't suspended yet.
Stand up now because of that. Okay. To the director, Mr. Camporelli, the process of us setting up a lease with the clubs, or the club in this case, that the leasing policy hasn't been formalised yet because it is under review. This whole item does speak around a lease. In fact, the very first line says approve a new lease. So to this club, this lease is going to be an unknown, like it is unknown to elected members around this table. How is that going to sit when the new lease comes into play, and it may be contrary to what North Cal Cricket Club expect or believed that they were going to get, as well as what elected members are going to be doing as well.
So, Councillor Johnson, so your question is, should a new lease be entered into after this lease? Does that affect the existing lease? Is that your question?
The new lease in this regard will be a lease based on the old leases that we currently have in place. The new policy of leases that we've been told about moving forward is what we're going to be adopting. If we adopt this now, the North Cal Cricket Club will have 21 years on the old lease. I'm just seeing if it's going to be impacted by it. I need clarity on that.
Thank you. Director Weiss, through to the Director of Engineering. Would you like to pass that through?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Director of Engineering.
Through the Mayor, the initial lease would be under our current leasing, and when we went to the new leasing, all leases are being reviewed, and this lease would be reviewed under the new regime of leases at that time.
All good, Councillor Johnson. Thank you. That was your point of clarification. You wish to second and speak?
Second and speak. Well, Mr Mayor, like Councillor Winner, I do agree that it's great to see sporting clubs go forward and develop these facilities. And well done to you guys. It's fantastic, and girls that are down there and participating.
Councillor Johnson, to the table, please, not to the public gallery. Thank you.
I'm just saying that we need to ensure that we support all clubs as we can, and we help them out with their initiative and moving forward. I think this is will be a great asset down there. Gives longevity to the North Cal Cricket Club. It also probably gives a bit of a lead into maybe other clubs taking up the mantle as well and running with it. I do support the proposal that we've got here, and I do support the motion as raised by Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I too rise to agree with the motion. It's always good to see clubs trying to expand and actually do things at their training spot and that. I've been involved with clubs since 1984, and we've got nothing. We turn up to a game, play a game, training, you've got nothing. So I'm in North Cal, have been there for years and years, and they've got a good group of people there, and I just can't wait to see what they put up, and hopefully other clubs will follow suit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Bodica.
I'd like to support it. I have no hesitation at all in supporting this. I think that the club's got a really good history. They add to the fabric of the community, and I think that, that's our purpose really, that we should be supporting groups like this, and I think it's ask everybody else to please do the same, support it.
Thank you, Councillor Bodica. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Deputy Mayor Della. Speaking for.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would also like to commend the club on the passion shown, not only here tonight in their participation, but also in the construction of clubhouse facilities, not only for their own benefit, for entire community benefit. So I'd really like to commend North Cal Cricket Club in bringing this lease and construction of a new clubhouse facility to council for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Speaker against? Speaker against? Whew. Councillor Turner, speaking for.
People probably thought, oh, what's she doing there? Look, I'd just like to speak for it. I'd just also like to say I'd like to commend the club, because I know that this has been a long time in planning that they've done it, and they didn't come to council too early. They waited till they had all their ducks and drakes or their cricket balls in a line, and they haven't come cap in hand to the city, which I think is so important, and it's a really good example to other clubs that if you keep plugging away, you can get there, because it is really hard in that sporting environment when everybody's competing for the same dollar. It's so hard. And also I think it's a reflection of not just the cricket club, of our cricket association. So we have only 4 cricket clubs in our cricket association. They're all pretty self-sufficient. So it's really good to see, and they're a small sport. You only have 12 people that play a game of cricket. So you don't have a lot of people that play. So for them to be able to pull this together and do this, but also the rest of the community's benefit, it's great. And it might, like the other said, it might inspire a few other clubs to keep plugging away. Because even if you have a plan, it might take a while to get there. So it's really well done on the club's part to get to this point, and I'm excited to see it as well.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Speaker against? Speaker for? Mover has the right of reply. Sorry, was there a for? Sorry, Councillor Brownlee. I've got a very alert Deputy Mayor
Thank you,
tonight.
Mr. Mayor. I think it would be criminal for me not to say anything and to draw speculation on whether or not Councillor Brownlee supports this motion, but I do, and I'd like to congratulate the club on the hard work to date and look forward to seeing the growth of it. Clubs are so important, as we all know. It gives people a place to socialise, to be able to build, long-lasting, meaningful relationships. I don't think my uncle's played for the North Cal Cricket Club, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't support an initiative as great as this. So congratulations and all the best for the club.
Thank you, Councillor Brownlee, and you've guilted me to speak for the motion this evening as well, noting that the North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club are taking on an existing facility and making it better in our community, which is commendable. So well done to the North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club. The early designs and the early indications of what you're doing for cricket in the future is very commendable. So congratulations on speaking for it. Mover has the right to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep this one brief. It's fantastic to hear the comments from around the table. This council has been a very big supporter of community-led initiatives and projects such as this. So fantastic opportunity for the club moving forwards. And I'd like to commend the club on their commitments for the better part of a decade to get this project out, and look forward to seeing it to come to fruition. Well done.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. With no councillors speaking against the motion, I'll take that as being supported. 8-0. Thank you, councillors, and thank you to the North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club. Thank you, Trent.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson, Deputy Mayor Della, and all the councillors.
Feel free to stay around for the rest of the meeting if you like. Alternatively, you are free to go. Councillors, 6.2 public question time tonight as we get back on track. We have one public question time that is in the gallery this evening, and that is Mr. Brendan Wilson. Brendan, if you'd like to come forward to the podium tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Deputy Mayor and councillors for your consideration. So I come representing the Goldfields Touch Association, a lifer member and a national referee. We have concerns. We've got two questions tonight. The first one is concerns regarding the reallocation or relocation rather of the fair and the facilities that both the fair and our grand final night will be required to share on that evening. Typically, I suppose our car park would be 50% or greater full. With the fair, we have concerns. One, that there wouldn't be enough parking. Two, public toilets. Obviously, portaloos and that could be brought. We understand that, but we have concerns as to how this will be handled.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. We do note that councillors have been provided this evening with a map of the Goldfields Oasis. Councillors, that is at your particular disposal this evening. Councillor O'Donnell doesn't have that map. Thank you, Director. Thank you. I'll take that question. We will have an opportunity to move the item forward when it's up for discussion this evening in relation to that, with that extra information. Mr. Wilson, your second question for tonight.
Yeah, thank you. So my second question for tonight comes on the back of the Goldfields Touch Association's constitution. So point 3 in our constitution is for us to endeavour to do whatever we can to maintain our liquor licence as part of our constitution. And we have concerns, we've heard rumours, I suppose, is the best way of putting it, is that there is opposition to the Touch Association maintaining the liquor licence at the current club rooms that we have unfortunately been kicked out of for the last year due to vandalism. But we have an understanding that there's opposition for us to maintain our liquor licence. So I just want to put that to the floor. Is that actually a real concern for us?
Thank you, Mr Wilson. We'll take that question on notice, but I will provide an update that the policy is under review. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Councillors, obviously with some questions there, we do have some other visitors to move an item forward. Councillor Johnson, question?
Do we have the opportunity to have a talk and ask questions of those who put questions up? Or don't we do that now?
Public question time is not the chance for councillors to ask questions back under our standing orders. Has been previously approved by a previous mayor, but won't be under me. The opportunity to move the item forward, councillors, obviously there's some points there. Do you wish to move the sponsorship of the fair forward, which Mr Wilson has indicated at this point in time that we can move it forward in the agenda? Deputy Mayor to move it forward. Councillor Turner to move it forward. Thank you. We will move councillors to come forward. Item number 1522. The page escapes me at this point in time, but I've got it right here now, page 20. That is the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Fair Society sponsorship, which Mr Wilson has alluded to in his first question. Councillors, the officer recommendation is there this evening for the fair and the Oasis playing fields in question as presented. Is there a mover for the officer recommendation? Councillor Turner moving the motion. Seconder for the recommendation? Councillor Winner. Councillor Turner? No, not yet. You have to stand.
Right. Okay. So, so I'd like to move the officer's recommendation as written.
Yep, that's correct. Yep, you're speaking to move.
Okay, yep. So can I speak?
Sorry, yep, so you're speaking now.
Yep. Okay, so here we go again. I don't think there has been a year when sponsorship for the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Fair has not been up for consideration at the final moment. It seems that once again CKB is requested to be a major supporter for the event. And it's now getting mixed up with the venue of where to hold it. Firstly, I'd like to say that I'm supportive of being financially supporting the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Fair Society by way of sponsorship. I always have been. The insistence on using a venue that has been decommissioned, I think we've been over that several times. By council resolution 12 months ago, that was to decommission that venue. The cost to keep that venue operational for little use have proved to be exorbitant, and we've also had water restrictions problems. So obviously the home of the fair has some nostalgia for all of us, and it's not the same event as it was years ago, and it never will be. I do think the current committee has worked extremely hard to keep the Fair Society together, and it's what a hard job. So many people want to have the fair, but too few hands up to help, something a lot of volunteer organisations are facing. I think to make this venue working, we've obviously increased their sponsorship, which I'm supportive of it. We also can't compel other community groups to have to share if there's not space for it. So I'm glad to see that those groups that do have bookings, it looks like there is room to be able to do this together. And I do think community groups need to work together to make events viable, and I've been part of those community groups that have had to do that themselves, for example, like Crusty Demons coming to Sir Richard Moore, and the Cricket Association many years ago, with their 2020 finals, they always had, they brought in and they had the local markets and fireworks there at Ray Finlayson, and it actually worked very well. There was a lot more people that went, and it was a great atmosphere. So maybe I'm hoping that with respect to the current users, and that we do not disrupt their finals preparations or their final series, that for these very, very important community groups as well, because nobody's more important than the others, and I'm certainly not saying the fair's more important, that they can perhaps lost sound, so they can perhaps coexist, and with some work, I hope it is not too late to be able to help this to happen, but I do acknowledge that I'm really hoping that the horse hasn't bolted here. But I'm urging our other councillors to at least to support this sponsorship proposal as it is, and then we can work towards the fair to see if this will still be viable to happen for them.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My comments will be very reflective of Councillor Turner's in that ever since I became a councillor and even before that, I've been a big supporter of the fair for our community. I've always believed that the fair for a community of our size is a critical component and something that communities such as Esperance put on really well and we have traditionally in the past as well. So I'm rising today to speak in favour of this and second this motion, not so much around the location, but about the fact that our community deserves and needs to have a fair moving forward. I'm not completely sold on the location myself, but I do understand through this motion we can have further conversations to ensure that it works better for everyone. Being a sports person myself, I do know how stressful finals can be, so by no means do we want to make things difficult for any other sporting clubs. It's looking at ways to make this work for our community as a whole and ensuring that our community get the best of everything across the board. Now, in previous meetings, we've discussed and we've seen the condition reports based on Crookshanks, and there's a lot of concerns. There's concerns about safety for our residents and where we go from there. So we have to be creative at the moment while we're still working through our previous motions at the last meeting to explore options and what's required to potentially redevelop or other for Crookshanks. But in the meantime, in order to ensure we continue a fair in our community, we're going to have to be bold and look at some options and making sure we're having those conversations with other users of those facilities, in this case, including Touch. So I do hope other councillors will be in support of this as well. The fair, if you ask anyone, everyone has a memory, whether good or bad, of the fair in our community, and it does form a big part of what we've done. So I do hope we do support this. It's fantastic to see we are offering some additional support to ensure we can make this work. But I'd love to see more conversation about location and appreciating we're a bit stuck when it comes to time. It has come a bit late to council, but we can only do what we can do and we'll go from there. And I'm sure officers will put their best foot forward and try to work with our fair and our other groups to make sure this works. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I rise to speak against this, and if I may direct a question to our officers.
Point of clarification first.
Point of clarification.
Go ahead with the point of clarification first.
The point of clarification is, when were the Touch and the T-Ball Association informed that they may have interruptions to their finals, or have they not yet been informed in writing by the city?
Thank you, Councillor. Director?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll refer that to the Director of Engineering.
Thank you, Director of Engineering.
Through the Mayor, from my understanding currently, there's been email correspondence to the two groups. I can't confirm when that was. I've just got back and looking into when that was. I did speak to the groups prior to the meeting tonight as well. But I understand there was attempts made to speak to them previously, but unable to get through. So bookings initially, we looked on fixtures and the fixtures showed that there were finals and the thing. To be openly honest, the bookings officer is unable to be contacted to find out when she contacted.
Thank you, Director. Councillor Johnson speaking against?
Yeah, speaking against. Well, I'll just take that as I haven't been informed, okay, because it's not, there's no letter. And just by some looks whilst I was listening to the Director, there's look from the gallery saying that they haven't been informed. I speak on a number of things. We talk about safety of residents and all the rest of it. We had a thing called the Moscow Circus go down to this facility not long ago. And from yourself today, Mr Mayor, there were 8 incidents where the police were called, 8, over a period of a number of days. So when it comes to safety, the venue itself is not fit for purpose for a fair. For a circus, it's contained within a, if you like, a tent with some outside buildings. This is totally open. Sideshow Alley is massively open. Any other bits and pieces that attach to that are totally open. Security in that field would be massive. The bill would be massive. So that's one of my concerns. The other one is to do with the security. I believe that this will be fenced and all the rest of it, But once again, when it comes to security, it's not guaranteed. The number of security guards needed down there to wander around is an unknown. The Fair Society itself have worked on their budget. Their budget, they worked on an application to council for 60,000 plus 10. They've always aimed low, or always aimed high. In this regard, it was aimed high, as it always is, and we normally settle around 30,000. Last year, it was increased by up to 30,000 plus 7,000. The year before that, it was 24,000. But then to read that the application from the fair was to include all of this other stuff is a little bit hard to take, and it was actually the Fair Society itself were a bit shocked on that. The communication to that Fair Society on that was pretty bad. That's the other one. That's to do with the additional support, and that's, you know, security, the fencing, whatever, came out of their initial application. Nothing was added to it. It was their application. It was massaged by our officers and our staff to allow it to move, my understanding. One of the problems that they have also is the availability of marquees. Marquees are just not available to go suddenly and put them down there. The availability of toilets, the availability of parking, the availability of staff, all of those things are going to make it very difficult. It's not a facility that is user-friendly for a fair, like it wasn't user-friendly for a circus. 8 reports of violence.
Can I have a point of clarification? That is 6, Councillor Johnson, from that report, that discussion we had today? 6.
Okay, 6. I'll withdraw what I said. 8. 6, clarification. We reported to the police, and that was to do with vandalism, assault, youth using slingshots, damage to motor vehicles, and some vehicle breaking into our understand. That was just through a circus, which ran for 2 nights, or 3 nights, or whatever it was. And the other one that concerns me, it's the impact of both touch and T-ball. They have the rights of that facilities to stage their finals, and out of the blue, those rights have been undermined. Brendan Wilson from Touch asked specifically about a liquor licence. Does this mean on the eve of their finals they can't have a liquor licence because it can't be controlled? Is that what it will be?
It's a separate matter. Councillor Johnson, can you please stick to what is the
Yeah,
sponsorship
I'm
of the
just
fair,
saying
please?
that there will be a liquor licence over there. There's going to be a fence put up, and providing, if that's not impacted, and I'm sure that they'll be happy about that. The last one, I just think the place is not friendly for the fair to go down there. I also have here from the Fair Society itself a letter sent to myself, the Deputy Mayor, the Mayor and officers. 1, safety a huge priority with all the violence attacks on the circus. I've already gone through that. No fencing, so no control of the area. So I'm going to assume that it's going to be totally fenced. That will take care of that. No toilets or showers which have been used.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. That was passed on to councillors today.
That was all passed on.
Yes.
If I'm going, I'll just bring these up. No gatehouse, no power of lights for sideshow, no shade, no seating. These I'm just going to make the point that all of these things are from the Fair Society themselves. So these are their concerns. And then we're asking them to go down there and put a fair on in that area. I just urge other members around this table, think of all those things, that it is not fit for purpose. I have had conversations with them in that forget 24, move on to bigger and better in 25, and hopefully maybe around this table an alternative motion may come forward that may happen.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Bodica? Point of clarification? Yep, you'll need to stand.
Sorry, I just wanted to know, through the Mayor, Councillor Johnson, are you saying that you want to put this on the table for future, or what are you actually saying?
No, he voted it. He's speaking against the motion.
Speaking against the motion.
There's no foreshadowed motion, no
There's
alternative
foreshadowed
motion from Councillor
Okay.
Johnson.
Yeah, I lost you a bit there.
Thank you. I will get that point of clarification from the Director at the moment in regards to the policy implications and maybe some clarity on that for councillors, please, Director.
Sorry, Mayor, in relation to
In relation to the item, the policy implications under our city's event sponsorship policy, which may answer the questions of Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. So in making their application to the city and completing the sponsorship application, the fair hasn't completely filled out the application as would be, I guess, in accordance with the city's guidelines on applications. So rather than providing a detailed budget and costings, they've referenced previous applications and said refer to our previous applications for costing. It is noted that the application, when submitted, specified Crookshanks Oval and they've lodged that application back in July 2023. Since then, there has been communication to the community fair around council's position and the resolution around Crookshanks, and they have not resubmitted or adjusted the application. Staff have progressed the application using, I guess, the information available, but the application itself is not in compliance with our policy, as it didn't provide a budget, and it didn't provide costings.
Thank you, Director. Councillor O'Donnell speaking for the motion.
Point of clarification.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Sorry.
Please stand.
Councillor Johnson made a comment. I was just trying to verify that the Fair Society doesn't want to have it at the Oasis and wants to forget about 2024 and go to 2025.
Councillor Johnson, just clarify that statement, please.
Councillor O'Donnell, that's correct.
Thank you. Councillor Speaker 4. Deputy Mayor.
Okay, I would also like to speak and support the officer's recommendation for the community fair sponsorship. My support around the funding is that we are less than a month out and we do need to make a position on this due to the late funding request. And city officers have estimated that in assisting in the relocation, including security, that the sponsorship and funding is going to assist in that relocation. So I think city officers have done a great job in estimating what that relocation may look like financially. And I'd also like to highlight what Councillor O'Donnell has mentioned as well, that the Fair Society have indicated that it would be, they would be unable to proceed at the Oasis playing fields due to what Councillor Johnson was saying, that there's a lack of amenity there, which hopefully the funding offered by council would assist with security and the other like issues that they usually have at Crookshank that they won't have. Crookshank has been long discussed with the Fair Society that due to ageing infrastructure is no longer suitable. So I do support the fair funding at this stage as it is to support progression and look for suitable locations moving forward for all users.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Speaker against?
Point of clarification, come on.
Several of them this evening. Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, just in regards to a late funding request, there hasn't been a late funding request, it was all on time. The funding requests were put in December, which there is a funding time frame. It was put in at the right time and it was resubmitted again.
Councillor Johnson, thank you. I'll take it that it is now here with us at this point in time. If that's late, then that's late. If it's on time, it's on time.
I was just fixing up that Deputy Mayor was saying it was a late funding request.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson.
It's not a late
It's here
funding
tonight.
request.
Speaker against? Speaker for? Point of clarification, Councillor Brownlee.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and with respect to the city officers, point of clarification, I would just like to ask, with the approval of this recommendation, as it is subject to conditions of the event sponsorship policy being met, does that mean that these dates are set in stone?
The dates are set in stone, Councillor Brownlee, according to the officers.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Speaker for, speaker against. Before the mover has the right of reply, I'd like to speak, first of all, to support the motion. As earmarked by the director, the motion is against our policies, which is obviously a big item, but it does set a precedence against other organisations in the city. It shows by supporting this particular motion that the city is accepting of the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Community Fair in our community. It also shows that the council is working with what we can in regards to hosting that particular fair where we can. It's been earmarked and spoken about in regards to where Crookshanks is. However, we do have support here for the fair tonight. The commentary that's been around not supporting the fair, with a motion like this that there is clearly support for, shows that council is supporting the fair. With that, however, I will also foreshadow a motion that was circulated to you this evening, and should that foreshadowed motion be put tonight, should the vote not get up, I will move that foreshadowed motion. Mover has the right of reply.
Okay, so I'd like to thank all my fellow councillors for their input and acknowledge that very valuable information that Councillor Johnson shared as well. However, we can only deal with the cards we're dealt. The cards we're dealt is that Crookshanks is decommissioned, and as a councillor I can't recommission that oval in time for the fair to be held. So I feel that if we don't support this motion, we're putting the final nail in the coffin for the fair, and I'm not prepared as a councillor to do that because it is valued by so many in our community. If it doesn't get up, it doesn't get up. If it doesn't get up after we've given the sponsorship, look, it doesn't get up. But I feel that as a councillor, with what I've been dealt with, I've done my best to try and support them. And which is why I've moved the motion, because I feel if we don't do it, there is 100% no fair. It may work out that they can't coexist. It may work out that the fair can't move there. However, if we don't approve this sponsorship, I can guarantee there's no fair. That's the one thing I can guarantee. I hope the groups can work together. I certainly do not want to impact on touch and T-ball's final, so that has to be of paramount importance to us that that works together. But I still urge everyone to support the motion because if we don't, the fair is definitely not happening. I can guarantee that, because it cannot, unfortunately, be held at Crookshanks this year.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. I will now put the vote. Those in favour of the officer recommendation, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those against? 1. Councillor Johnson. The motion is carried. It's already recorded on the minutes. Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Right, we've skipped forward ahead, councillors, quite a lot. Thank you, Mr Wilson, for your question this evening. Item 6.2, public question time as well. We had some questions from Vivian Dimer. We will ensure that that is responded to in writing. Item 7, petitions, deputations and presentations. There are nil. Item 8, we do have items of interest this evening. Deputy Mayor Della has an impartial interest on 1521 Hockey WA sponsorship, as she is a member and a player. Also an impartiality this evening. Councillor Turner has an impartiality on interest 1532 as mentioned, so we'll take that one as well. Are there any other impartialities this evening, councillors? No further impartialities. Are there any proximities this evening, councillors? No proximities. I do have a financial interest from Councillor Brownlee. Item 1411, the probity review. It's a financial. He is a contractor. And as mentioned already this evening as well, a financial which was affecting 1531 we had from Director Mia Hicks. That was a financial on the North Kalgoorlie Cricket Club lease 1531 and confirming that the director did leave the room for that, and welcome back. Item 9.1, leave of absence. We have a leave of absence from Councillor Viskovich, who is not present this evening but has tabled that for discussion tonight. 23rd to the 2nd of the 2nd to the 1st of the 3rd is away for work. From Councillor Turner, 20th of April to the 28th of April is away for work. Councillor Bodicar is away in Bali, 27th of March to the 2nd of April, and also 15th of April to the 19th of April away for business. Councillors, is there any other leave of absence I don't have this evening? None. Thank you. I need a mover of those leave of absences be accepted. Deputy Mayor moved it. Seconded, Councillor Brownlee. No dissent, councillors. Thank you. Carried 8-0. Enjoy your leave. Item 9.2, procedural motion to suspend standing orders. This requires Section 9.1 of the Standing Orders Local Law 2013, which requires members of council to rise to speak, be suspended. A mover for that? Councillor Winner, thank you. Deputy Mayor, thank you. Councillor Winner moving. Deputy Mayor seconding. No discussion. Everyone wants to sit down tonight for the remainder of the meeting. Excellent. Carried 8-0. Item 10, mayoral announcements. Dates are on the screen. The dates that I flicked through to you this afternoon were incorrect. Thank you, Councillor Winner. Just going through that, we had a meeting catch up with, that's where it all went awry, the 31st of the 1st. Minister Ellery we caught up with to talk about her particular portfolios in commerce and women's interests back on the 31st of the 2nd. We also met several times during the month with many politicians, including pursuing our advocacy in relation to antisocial behaviour, as well as housing and community issues that we're facing, including a WOLGA meeting, which was around the 31st of the 1st, 2024. We attended the Community Safety Forum, which was hosted at the WMC Conference Centre, or the Conference Centre on McDonald Street. Continued on with various other different meetings, met the new OIC for Kalgoorlie Police. Very excited to have him on board very soon, although he's been delayed. Spoke with Esther Rodenreiter about the mayoral blanket appeal. Further other meetings included Doug Dawes on the Kalgoorlie biplane project. I'm working with Doug on presenting that to council. I spoke about the top love locations in the lead up to Valentine's Day. Apparently the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder was one of those top places earmarked as a place of love, which is fantastic to see others get that opportunity to share our love of the city. Spoke to some residents on the street regarding their particular street and thanked the staff for their proactivity from the engineering team in relation to dealing with that matter on Connolly Street. East Kalgoorlie Primary School, we received a briefing on that, councillors, around the 14th and 15th of February. Further down there, continued on with further discussions and meetings, including explosives facility tour to check out the explosive reserve. We've reinstated the liquor accord, which we're working through that progress at the moment. We attended the regional capital meetings in Perth, or Regional Capitals Alliance WA meetings, and that was quite fruitful, and that continued on with GIBROC meetings as well. Can I note that the Deputy Mayor represented us at an art opening just a few Fridays ago, and Councillor Winner, as well as our Youth Council mentor, was overseeing the elections held last week. Councillors, any questions in relation to those items? Noting that the Deputy Mayor and the CEO are in Canberra from tomorrow, attending several meetings with several ministers and continuing on our advocacy as well. And councillors, you'll have a copy tonight of what the Deputy Mayor will be presenting to those politicians in Canberra. No other further items. Item 11, confirmation of minutes, that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 29th of January be confirmed as a true record of that meeting. We'll get that taken from Deputy Mayor Della as the mover, seconder for those minutes. Councillor O'Donnell, any discussion? No discussion. Carried 8-0. Item 12, motions of which previous notice has been given. Councillor Turner, if you'd like to state your motion that you have given notice, please.
Would you like to read it in
Yes,
full?
please.
Okay. So my motion is that Council, 1, requests that the CEO provide a report to the 26th of March 2024 Ordinary Council meeting setting out, in respect of the period of 1st of January 2018 to the date, the number of A, developments that have been approved by the City as workforce accommodation, B, developments for workforce accommodation approved by the City that are constructed, C, development applications for workforce accommodation that have been approved by the City but for which construction has not yet been commenced, D, development applications for workforce accommodation that have been lodged but not yet determined, E, development applications for workforce accommodation that were lodged but not approved, and F, inquiries including pre-lodgement inquiries received by the City regarding proposed workforce accommodation developments. And 2, request the CEO to provide in the report the number of developments or development applications and the number of rooms for each one.
Sorry, seconded to that motion, Councillor Winner. Thank you. Councillor Turner, state to your motion.
Okay. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor Winner for seconding my motion so that it can be debated and discussed. So workforce accommodation, lifestyle accommodation, FIFO camps, whatever we want to call them. Hotly discussed topics in our community and many other regional ones too. We all know housing and accommodation is something throughout our city, our state and our country that is in short supply. This includes accommodation for workers to be able to utilise, which even though we might not all like it, it is also required. There is no legislation anywhere that forces people to live where they work, and in the modern world, many travel for work purposes. However, balance is needed, and as a city, we need to be mindful of not only making sure we have adequate levels of all types of accommodation, but the one type of it does not override or overrun our requirements of other types of housing, traditional and non-traditional alike, and that other vital forms of accommodation are not forgotten about in the haste to supply one format, and we send the wrong message to our community, investors and developers of housing. With changes to not only our resource industry landscape with recent mine and plant closures in our nickel industry, as well as construction of other sites nearing completion, as a councillor that is part of decision making for all new applications, I feel I need better information to be available on what levels of accommodation we have in place already in this space. I acknowledge we have investors and developers and companies looking to still perhaps increase workforce accommodation stocks. And with the ever-increasing levels of this type of accommodation in recent years, I find myself asking, and I'm sure others do, how much do we need? Are we allowing this type of accommodation to oversaturate our market and send the wrong message of what we truly need in our city and community? Do we not need more houses, units and townhouses for people to actually live in? Would these investors or developers perhaps spend their money and their funds differently if they understood better the stocks we have of workforce accommodation? And maybe would they build some houses or units? There's some great developments of housing in the city that are currently underway, including the old Southland shopping site on Oswald Street that's just about complete, and 2 great developments in Maguire Street and Della Place that are housing. These are houses, townhouses and units, and they're built by different local builders, properties that people can live in, even if they've moved here for work. These different types of housing is what I think we need more of. I'm hoping requesting this report will show we have enough workforce accommodation, and it will direct and encourage ways forward with other types of housing. With this better knowledge in place, I feel we'll be able to make some more informed decisions. We might free up some more homes if we have some more homes built, so other first homeowners can come in to the market, or even their house might become a rental and they might step up. So I hope it provides clarity on numbers and makes people think about what we really need in our city, and it shows where we've actually got. I'm not an anti-developer of any type of this, I'm concerned that we've got where we need to be, and I hope that if we can have some more perhaps permanent housing solutions coming in that will attract more people here to reside, work and enjoy our great city, our many recreation opportunities, sporting and community groups which help our city stay vibrant and strong. It sends a message to governments of all persuasions that we're keen to stay here, and we will then deserve better in services and infrastructure if we can get more people to live and work here, and we need more houses for that. So I'm hoping this report will show we're at where we need for workforce accommodation, and perhaps people will spend their money more wisely.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Turner for bringing this motion to the table. It's something that I've been very close to myself as well, and I commend Councillor Turner on finding the words to be able to request this level of information. As a region, the Gulf West Esmonds regions have billions, not millions, but billions of dollars of investment ready to come into our area. We need to be making sure that we are providing the appropriate accommodation levels to account for that. And as a councillor, I'm sure other councillors, as well as myself, are constantly approached in regards to the need for more workforce accommodation options and instant accommodation options. And to be fair, as a councillor, I don't know how much we have out there. So this will provide us with the information to allow us to make some more educated strategic moves moving forward, particularly with some of the parcels of land that the city own. We recently purchased yet another one. So it'd be great to be able to see what sort of accommodation we can start steering potential investors and other partners in our community to move towards to ensure that we can continue to have a permanent workforce option here in Kalgoorlie and continue to see our city grow, not just around the workforce accommodation modelling. So again, I would encourage councillors to support this motion. Information, it's something that we all need on a constant basis. The information is going to allow us to make more educated and more informed decisions moving forward and steer some of our strategic discussions that we do have coming up. So once again, thank you, Councillor Turner, and I hope all councillors support this.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Botica?
Yeah. I'd like to support this motion too, and I think that Councillor Turner's done a really good job in putting it together. I just think that by, having this motion, it's going to provide us with more clarity and also, sort of give us a lot more decision making about the types of housing that we want to have in the city and the types of accommodation for our, community. So I think it's a good idea.
Thank you, Councillor Botica. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Before the mover has the right of reply, I speak against the motion. And I speak against the motion, but I look forward to the information coming to council. I speak against it because we do need, as a council, to understand what this information is. However, our role as council is quasi-judicial in development, and we should not blur the lines between looking at what is already in market and what somebody proposes to us. We also have the JDAP program as well, or the JDAP process, which will provide an application the opportunity to take everything else into account. And however, I understand Councillor Turner's meaning behind this particular motion. However, as part of my decision-making process and looking at it from a commercial point of view, I don't feel that is probably the best information for us to move forward in a way that is going to look at the market from a commercial viability point of view. I don't think council should be involved in that process, but we should understand, and Councillor Turner, I'm happy if your motion does get up tonight, but we should understand our role in the process at the same time. Councillor Turner.
Thank the Mayor for those comments. So just for some clarity. So
you don't have to stand too, by the way.
So just for some clarity, why I want the information is because I don't feel that investors and developers also better understand what our needs perhaps are. So this information isn't just for council, it's for the whole community and it's for people coming in, because when you're making a decision commercially, if you don't have the right information there, you can't make it. So I suppose I'm hopeful that if we can collaborate all this information, people can make some good decisions for themselves as well, because I'd hate somebody to come in and spend a lot of money here on something that they think we need and then they get burnt as well. So I suppose my point is for helping out both sides here. People may think that we need this and we don't, and then they've got a big empty facility. I mean, it happened to the government with a facility down in the metropolitan area that they were going to use during COVID, and we don't need it and it's sitting there empty. So I'd hate an investor to do that. They could spend their money other ways. So this information is not just for council, it's so that we've got it there for everybody to make a sound decision.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Those in favour of Councillor Turner's motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those against? Carried 6-2. Item 13, urgent business approved by the person presiding or by decision. There are nil this evening, councillors. Item 14.11, Councillor Brownlee, you have declared a financial interest. If you wouldn't mind leaving the room, please. At 8 o'clock. Thank you. Councillors, noting that the reports of committee, this report is going as per normal committee reports. However, the discussion was made per delegated authority, so no council decision is required this evening. What we do need is a council recommendation to note the particular review and the particular item. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Seconded, Councillor Winner. Any discussion, councillors? None. Carried 7-0. May we please have Councillor Brownlee back in the chamber? Councillor Bodica's just looking for a new chair to sit on, that is, not of the meeting. The reports of officer, item 15. We have a en bloc resolution for the following items: 15.11, 15.12, 15.15 and 15.21 for this evening. Would you like me, councillors, to reiterate what those particular numbers are for your en bloc? 15.11 is the accounts, 15.12 is accounts paid, 15.15 is the mid-year timetable, and 15.21 is the sponsorship of hockey. Do we have a mover for that particular en bloc? Councillor, I've got a Councillor Winner moving it, noting your particular impartiality, and a second. Thank you, Councillor Della. Councillor Bodica? I've got a seconding Deputy Mayor. Councillor Winner moving, Deputy Mayor seconding. Deputy Mayor's got an impartiality. Councillors, no discussion on the en bloc, moved 8-0. Councillors, 15.13 is the commercial business reports, December 2023. Noting those 7 particular reports there, officer recommendation. Do we have a mover? Councillor Brownlee, seconded Councillor O'Donnell. Discussion, councillors, on 15.13. No discussion, carried 8-0. 15.14, mid-year review of the annual budget requiring an absolute majority. Councillors, we have a mover for that. Councillor Bodica moving that particular motion for the mid-year review of the annual budget. Seconder? Seconder for the motion. Deputy Mayor, thank you. No discussion? Any discussion? No discussion, councillors. Carried 8-0. 15.15 was part of the en bloc. 15.16, officer recommendation is as follows on the screen. However, the names to add into that attendance as earmarked last week: approve the attendance of councillors Deputy Mayor Della, Councillor Turner and Councillor Viskovich. Is there a mover of that particular item? 15.16, and this is representation at the National Government Assembly, National General Assembly in Canberra come July. Mover for that particular motion. Councillor O'Donnell moving. Seconder, Councillor Johnson. Any discussion, councillors? No other councillors wanting to go? No? You can. Thank you. Carried 8-0 with no dissent. Enjoy your time, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Turner and Councillor Viskovich. I think the Mayor's a straight up start for that. 15.17, elected member continuing professional development policy requiring an absolute majority. Councillors, a new policy to adopt there, or an updated policy. Deputy Mayor, thank you. Moving, seconded Councillor Turner. Any discussion? No discussion, carried 8-0. 15.21 was part of the en bloc. 15.22 has already been taken care of this evening. 15.23, the application has been withdrawn by the applicant. 15.31, paving and miscellaneous concrete works tender T 005 2324, noting that we did have a notice of motion regarding paving in the last couple of meetings. Do we have a mover for accepting that particular tender? Councillor Brownlee moving that, seconded for that tender to be taken care of. Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Discussion? No discussion? Thank you. Carried 8-0, and we'll look forward to the paving works. 15.3.2 was taken care of already this evening. 15.4.1, we have an alternate motion circulated from Councillor Turner. Councillor Turner, do you wish to state your alternate motion, please?
My alternate motion is that Council requests the Chief Executive Officer to consider alternative strategies for the most cost-effective long-term parking options within the airport precinct and provide a report back to Council.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Seconder for that motion? Councillor Brownlee. Councillor Turner.
Firstly, thank Councillor Brownlee for seconding the motion to allow some debate and discussion on this item. So airport parking, once again, that is often discussed within the community with a certain level of frustration. So firstly, thank the officer for actually bringing this to the table to start with. However, I didn't quite think it was workable. So for airport users, regular and also infrequent, many would have driven around and around that car park getting increasingly annoyed when parking spot was unavailable, even for a quick drop-off or pick-up. However, everyone has the right to park at the airport, resident, visitor, traveller or worker. I'd be annoyed if I couldn't park at Perth Airport just because I didn't live or work there. The installation of the new ticket machines has helped alleviate some of these issues experienced, but we still have some problems. Long-term parkers now need solutions, and our hire car companies take up valuable parking, and they could be better placed perhaps too. Whilst the original motion had the intent to alleviate this, I think it was a short-term solution to a long-term issue. And I can't commit ratepayers' monies to this without all options having been investigated and presented. I want all of these avenues looked at, and I'm not keen on a long-term parking solution being one that becomes a discounted parking permit option for users who may not live in our city, may not even pay any type of rates here, and in essence such a system may have our ratepayers subsidising enterprises from out of town with our own residents still paying the normal rate of parking. To make it easier for a company or user who doesn't base themselves here to manage, for me, just does not work. I don't want a system where our long-term parking perhaps becomes XYZ company's depot for a relatively cheap daily rate that the city is then fencing, lighting and securing for them. Perhaps one of the options that may be considered in the report is that officers could look at excess airport precinct land to lease to such companies that they could then fence, light and secure themselves. And then imagine how much parking that would free up in our airport. And we might not even need another long-term parking facility because we might have plenty of spots there for everybody to park. Or maybe even a long-term parking facility where users simply pay a daily rate and our ratepayers even get a couple of free days parking there. But as a councillor, I need all options presented to me to better make a decision that benefits all users of airport parking, not just a few companies that might make a lot of noise because it's inconvenient to them. And our actual ratepayers and residents get the benefits of these too. So these are some of the points I hope will be considered in the report when requesting this.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Seconder? Councillor Brownlee. Speaker for, speaker against? Speaker for, Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I support this motion. I like the idea that's been brought up of possibly leasing land and having other companies, especially the ones that want to use it, have a lot of vehicles. That'll take away saving the city spending nearly $750,000. Is that me? Beeping? No. But if we don't have to spend $750,000 and we get some other companies and they can work in together, and I was shocked to find out there's one company doesn't even have an office here, doesn't have a yard here for their vehicles, nothing. All they do is they fly in, get in their car that was left there by the worker last week, and they drive off. Then they come back and do it again. And we want to give them a discount. They're not contributing. As no rates, no nothing. So I support Councillor Turner's motion on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. And if you are beeping, you do require a battery change. Speaker against? Speaker for? Mover has the right of reply. Not taken, Councillor Turner. Thank you.
I think I said it all.
Thank you. Item 15.4.1, I put that alternate motion to council. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Carried 8-0. Item 16, question of which due notice has been given. There are none tonight. No confidential items. The date of the next meeting will be the 25th of March 2024. And I'll just clarify, to close the meeting, it's 8:10 p.m. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff. Thank you, members of the public and press.